Is George Russell about to be replaced? That's the buzz, and it's only getting louder. Toto Wolff, the head of Mercedes, isn't holding back when talking about his team's future. His recent comments suggest something big might be brewing. Behind the scenes, while both he and Russell have addressed the uncertainty, the way they're talking has raised more eyebrows than it has settled nerves. Could we actually witness a major switch where Russell ends up swapping places with Max Verstappen? What's fueling all this speculation is Wolff's steady focus on Verstappen. Even while talking about the current driver lineup, it's an uneasy time if you're George Russell. The reality is hard to ignore. Max's contract details are sending shockwaves throughout Formula One, and things between him and Mercedes seem far from done. The Mercedes boss recently made another firm statement directed at his current drivers, warning them about how important teamwork is if they expect to stay with the team. And with a top-level champion like Max still in his prime and possibly on the market, Mercedes might be willing to use any excuse to make space. Let's break this down. Wolff stressed that for someone to earn a seat at Mercedes, they have to think beyond their own interests. According to him, the whole team counts, whether it's someone in engineering, cleaning, or driving, and anyone putting their own ego ahead of the team's goal, they won't be part of Mercedes much longer. It's a strong message, and the timing couldn't be more suspicious. Right after dropping that serious message, Toto Wolff shifted attention straight to Russell's contract talks. He made it clear there's nothing political behind the delay. But people aren't buying it that easily, especially now that George has picked up momentum. After his win in Canada, the team is in a tough spot. They have a driver who's starting to show real results, but they're also keeping the door open for a big name like Max. If Mercedes doesn't play its cards carefully, this could come back to bite them. Once-in-a-career chances don't show up every day, and if they rush or misjudge the situation, they might regret it in the long run. So why is this such a complicated moment for George Russell? Well, part of the answer lies in Kimi and Antonelli. Mercedes sees him as their long-term future. After landing a podium finish within his first 10 races, the team isn't shy about praising the young Italian. Wolff even compared him to Verstappen, which says a lot about what they expect from him moving forward. And that's what's really making things tense. Wolff missed the chance to sign Max once before. He won't want to make that same mistake again. It's starting to feel like Mercedes is waiting to see what Max decides before they commit to anything with Russell. Even if they're almost certain about keeping their current lineup, that small bit of doubt is enough to delay everything. Even if it's just a 1% chance that things change. That's all it takes to keep the speculation alive. And when someone like Toto Wolff continues to show interest in Verstappen, it only adds fuel to the fire. While Wolff's remarks might seem general, they carry weight. His message about putting the team first could easily be taken as a subtle warning, not just to Russell, but maybe even to Max himself. We've all seen Verstappen's clashes with his own team when things don't go his way. It hasn't always been smooth between him and Red Bull's engineers, but lately, there's been a shift. Take Barcelona for example. When his race engineer asked him to let Russell pass, he didn't agree, but he accepted it and moved on. He made it clear they win and lose as a team. That kind of mindset might be exactly what Mercedes needs right now. Wolff has always believed that success in Formula One isn't just about being fast on the track. According to him, it's also about how well a driver handles pressure, works with others, and understands the bigger picture. He's looking for someone who not only delivers results, but also builds unity within the team. Lewis Hamilton, for instance, was often praised for being exactly that kind of driver-focused, determined, but also aware that racing is a team effort. So when Wolff talks about what he wants in a driver, it's clear he's looking for more than just speed. Whether it's Verstappen or Russell, that expectation is the same. Wolff's handling of the tension between Russell and Verstappen has also raised a few eyebrows. When recent incidents between the two drivers were brought up, he did acknowledge that Verstappen had a role in them, but he wasn't nearly as critical as he was toward Red Bull. That kind of soft approach toward Max is hard to ignore. It's almost like Wolff is being careful not to damage a possible future with him. That strategy makes sense in a way. Mercedes knows that Red Bull is going through a rough patch, and if they can keep their image clean, they'll remain an attractive option for Max, should he decide to walk away from his current team. It's a smart move, criticize the team, not the driver, and keep the door open just in case. Now let's talk about Russell's side of the story. His name keeps popping up in conversations about Aston Martin, and that's no accident. The team, based in Silverstone, sees real value in him. Apart from Verstappen, George is probably the most desirable driver not tied down long-term. That's exactly why Aston Martin is considering building their future around him once the new regulations kick in. Russell has denied being in talks with other teams, but he hasn't hidden the fact that there's no new contract signed yet with Mercedes. So while he's showing loyalty in public, behind the scenes, the picture might be more complicated. He's keeping his cards close, but even he knows that nothing is guaranteed right now. Russell has tried to be transparent about where he stands, saying clearly that his main goal is to continue racing with Mercedes. He credits them for giving him his shot in Formula One and talks about staying loyal. But despite all that, the situation remains wide open. he hasn't ruled anything out, and without a deal officially signed, his future is still uncertain. His recent win in Montreal didn't do much to shut down the ongoing rumors either. In fact, it may have added more fuel to the speculation. Winning a race usually gives a driver more leverage, but in this case, it seems to have brought even more attention to the delay in contract talks. Now, everyone's wondering why hold up. For Mercedes, this delay may actually be part of a bigger strategy. They're not rushing into anything, possibly because they're waiting to see how things shake out with Verstappen. That kind of patience works for the team, but for George, the longer things drag on, the more questions are going to be asked. It's also interesting to see how George is handling all of this. When asked about Max being a target for teams, he didn't seem upset. In fact, he admitted that it's only logical that any team would want Verstappen. George appears calm on the surface, but underneath that calm, there's no doubt he's thinking about what this means for him in the long term. Now, while George Russell projects confidence saying he's not too concerned about next year and is sure he'll be on the grid, it doesn't entirely put the rumors to rest. He claims there's no urgency to start contract discussions and emphasizes that both he and the team want to win together. But in a climate like this, where every move is scrutinized, that kind of relaxed attitude might be misread. The challenge for George isn't just proving himself again and again. It's also about standing out while another driver in the same garage, young Kimi Antonelli, is steadily gaining momentum. Many in the paddock already see Kimi as the future face of Mercedes, and that could push Russell into a position where he needs to fight not only for results but for relevance. This intense internal pressure creates two possible outcomes: either Russell steps up and thrives, or the situation becomes too overwhelming. With each passing week and no contract signed, the buzz grows louder that Mercedes may be holding out for Verstappen's final decision before making a commitment to Russell. As things stand, nothing is written in stone. Verstappen is still heavily favored to stay with Red Bull, but the tiniest opening could change everything. And Mercedes, with its powerful engine set up for 2026, remains a tempting destination if things sour on the other side. George finds himself in a waiting game, and until signatures are on paper, the rumors won't stop. If Mercedes truly want Russell in their long-term plans, they'll need to act soon or risk losing him to a rival ready to invest in his future.